What is up, CWC? It is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. This is the Casual Wrestling Show, the #1 rated pro wrestling podcast meant specifically for casual wrestling fans. I am the host, Notorious NerdyD, and if you could do me a quick, solid, hit the like button if you are watching this on YouTube, or leave this show a 5-star review on your favorite podcast network, that would be much appreciated. Lots to talk about tonight. Is Edge actually retiring? Is Dom starting to cool off? And is CM Punk punking the Elite? But first, let's talk some smack. So Jey Uso's gone. At the conclusion of this past week's SmackDown, Jey Uso turned to the camera and he told the WWE audience, sayonara, adios, I'm out of here. He's gone, jumped into the crowd, walked away, and just like that, we have another chapter in this bloodline story that we're going to have to follow to see exactly what happens. But there was something interesting that happened. There was something interesting that I don't know if everybody got to experience when SmackDown went off the air. When SmackDown went off the air, I do what I always do. I jumped on the X, the Twitter, the Reddit, all of the forums, all of the local IWC hangouts. I snuck in. I wanted to take the temperature. What does the IWC think of this? And something happened. I don't know if it was magical. I don't know if it was beautiful. I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe the number of idiots in the IWC who immediately jumped onto Twitter, who immediately jumped into Reddit, who immediately were in the Facebook groups talking about Jey Uso being gone from the WWE. And that's not the part that amazes me. We all talk like that. The part that amazed me was the number of IWC just numbskulls who actually started up a conversation about Jey Uso showing up at AEW All In. It absolutely amazes me how many numbskulls in the IWC actually believe that Jey Uso could show up in AEW. This is a real thing. There are IWC members who are currently on Reddit, currently on Twitter, debating at what point in time is Jey Uso going to show up in an AEW ring. I can't make this up. I can't bullshit this. This is real. Go on Facebook. Check out the wrestling groups. Go into Reddit. Look at the AEW subreddits. Go on Twitter and just search Jey Uso AEW. It's not just 10 or 15. There are hundreds of IWC members who are actually under the belief that Jey Uso is done with WWE and that Tony Khan is going to sign him. And the most beautiful part of this is if these IWC guys believe this, will someone tell them that I have a couple of VIP passes to a secret NWO reunion meeting that I will gladly sell to them for a hell of a deal? Because that's the type of shit that y'all are believing here. These IWC members who have bought into this storyline so hardcore that they believe Jey Uso's joining AEW. These are the same people, and someone in our Discord posted this the other day, these are the same people who fall for the tricks when some random person messages a wrestling fan and says, hey, I'm Roman Reigns, I'm stuck at the airport, I need $200. These people who believe Jey Uso is going to AEW, these are the same people who would send that $200 to who they think is Roman Reigns because we can't have Roman stuck at the airport. Like, this is absolutely insane to me. Now, I'll take this one step farther. I love this. I think that Triple H and WWE should troll the IWC. I absolutely think that Triple H should let Jey Uso go to Impact Wrestling this week and wrestle a match, squash somebody on Impact Wrestling so that the IWC can completely lose their shit and go, see, I told you it was real. I told you guys are the idiots. This is real. Jey Uso's on Impact Wrestling. This would completely fuck with Tony Khan because Tony Khan would then have to somehow chill the rumors going into All In of these IWC basement trolls expecting to see Jey Uso at All In. This could be the ultimate troll job by Triple H and WWE. But how many times as wrestling fans are we going to fall for this same trick? This same storyline element that WWE just keeps recycling to us. Because I get it. The Bloodline has been absolutely great up until SummerSlam. I think at SummerSlam, I finally took the red pill and saw it for, we're starting to do the same thing over and over again. And that same thing is, an Uso disappears, an Uso reappears. Around Royal Rumble, Jey Uso disappears, Jey Uso reappears. Jimmy Uso disappears, Jimmy Uso reappears. Now here we are again, same song and dance. Jey Uso disappears. You can guarantee Jey Uso is going to reappear. Is it Royal Rumble? Is it Payback? I don't know where it is, but we know these story beats. And it scares me. It scares me because I see what's happening here. We did this last year. We're entering into the dark times of WWE. We're entering into what I call the winter season of WWE. Winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
It's getting cold. Not outside, but it's getting cold in the WWE. You see, because September, October, November, December, those are notoriously weird months for WWE. And especially if they're going to keep this title on Roman Reigns. And as we expect, Roman Reigns is not going to show up on a weekly basis to entertain us. That means we have 4 months that they have to keep this bloodline story just churning out content. Now, what do? Of course, you do Jimmy and Jay. No. Now they've decided we want to save that for WrestleMania. Okay, so you do Jimmy and Roman. Well, what do you do after that? Maybe Roman and Solo? Solo and Jimmy? Jay comes back? Whatever it is, it's all going to start to feel redundant at a certain point. I don't think you see the bloodline at Survivor Series this year. I don't know if 4 months, if in this cold winter for WWE, I don't know what you can do to keep it interesting because on one side, you have a champion in Seth Rollins who is a fighting champion and continues to look dominant. But on the other side, you continue to have Roman Reigns who shows up, disappears, and Uso disappears. Solo gets turned on. Roman hits. We're seeing the same things over and over. And it scares me because I believe it is leading us into the dark winter of WWE as we gear up towards, look, we've got Payback on September 2nd. I don't have big expectations for the bloodline on September 2nd. What is it? Rikishi? Rikishi's going to be a guest referee in some version of Roman, Jay, Jimmy, Solo. Okay, cool. That's holding. But then you have Fastlane that you have to do something with. You have Crown Jewel that you have to do something with. And then you have Survivor Series. And then you have December where there's just absolutely nothing. And you've got to convince us that this bloodline story is interesting enough that for the next 4 months, we should pay attention. I think it's going to be a cold, cold winter in WWE. I think winter is coming, and I don't know exactly what they're going to do to keep us interested, but I do know that it was absolutely hilarious that there were people in the IWC buying into the fact that Jey Uso is out of WWE. Second thing I saw SmackDown related this week was I saw an article from Edge's, I believe it was his trainer, that said, pay attention, guys, this very possibly could be Edge's last match of, ever this Friday on SmackDown. And when I saw that article, it hit, there was like a shock that went over my body. I was like, wait, what? Did I just read that Edge is retiring this Friday after that weird ass promo that you gave us last week with Sheamus, where we talked about bicycles and it was this love fest between Sheamus and Edge? There's no way. This has to be some kind of gimmick, right? They're playing us. There's no way that Edge is hanging up his boots after that. That's not how Edge goes out. That's not how the guy who came back at the Royal Rumble in 2020 goes out. There's gotta be more to this. I know, I get it. We were told that the next time WWE went back to Canada, that was going to be it for Edge. But come on, guys, they had to have a better way to do this, correct? Right? Because I almost, there's a part of me that feels bad. I feel bad for not appreciating every match that we had with Edge since his return, because I felt like we had more time. You know? And sometimes there's a part of me that says, like, man, maybe I should have bought more Edge merchandise. I should have been more supportive. Maybe he stays around longer. You know, why did I take these matches for granted? You know, there's a part of me that it upsets me. I don't understand. But why now? Why does this make sense right now? Why does this have to be Edge's last match? I mean, is he really that ready to be done that he's just going to bring it to an abrupt halt just because we're in Canada? I think we've seen that kind of stuff doesn't work. Or is there more to this? Is there another storyline building within all of this? Is Edge going to surprise us? Is Edge maybe going to go away and then return one last time, have one last real run in WWE? Maybe a big match at WrestleMania, something like that. Maybe I'll plead to the IWC. Hey, IWC, you guys are real good at this. You like to start petitions about don't watch SmackDown, hashtag fire Vince, hashtag we love Tony. You start all these. Hey, guys, could you start maybe a hashtag for me like not yet Edge? Hashtag not yet Edge. Because y'all like to do these whiny petitions. So maybe y'all could start a petition to convince Edge to let's do one more WrestleMania, Edge. Because if this was really it should have been at SummerSlam. We're not doing this on some random SmackDown. I'm not okay with that, because I'm just not okay with the idea that that's where we lose Edge. Wrestling, you know, there will be a hole in wrestling without Edge, because I just feel like there was so much left for him to do. But, you know, and I get it. We have to be positive. We have to look back and go, Edge gave us so many good memories. Edge and Seth Rollins was good. Edge gave us the Judgment Day, even though he didn't follow through on that. You know, so there were some good moments with Edge and Beth Phoenix, but it just feels like so much was just kind of left unfinished. And so I get it. With every ending comes a new beginning. And maybe, you know, maybe I just have a bad taste in my mouth because it's Sheamus. And you could use this opportunity to put over a new, younger superstar. But something about this doesn't feel right. You know, something about Edge, something smells funny when I look at this moment in WWE. It just doesn't feel like a very WWE way for Edge to go out. So while this is his trainer, and I get his trainer probably knows him really well, I'm not sure I'm buying into the bullshit that this is Edge's last match. Maybe this is Edge's last run, but I'm not buying into the bullshit that this is Edge's last match. So last thing I want to talk about from SmackDown was I've seen a lot of wrestling fans kind of scratching their heads when it comes to Austin Theory losing the title the way he did to Rey Mysterio, just on a random SmackDown after SummerSlam, saying, I see wrestling fans, IWC fans coming out and going, this is the end of Austin Theory. He's done. He can't survive this. He can't come back from this. And I go, y'all guys are looking at this the wrong way. Ignoring the fact that the United States Championship is a complete fucking joke at this point. And it's pretty much a curse that belongs to whoever holds it. You just kind of get relegated to what I'd call United States champion level. And thank God that's in the LWO, because I can't stand the LWO, so let them fucking toy around with that title all they want. But let's look at Austin Theory from a different position. This is the best thing that could happen to Austin Theory, a wrestler who, when he first made it to the main roster, I was a big, big fan of. Then all of a sudden, they stripped away everything that made Austin Theory, And I lost interest in him, as I think a lot of fans did. Now, there was the common IWC trope where they came to me and said, he doesn't need all that stuff. He's going to be super aggressive and super interesting. He didn't. He wasn't. When they stripped away everything that made Austin Theory, he became boring. So this is the best thing that could ever happen to Austin Theory. Because I'll tell you right now, you want to fix Austin Theory, Triple H? You want to fix Austin Theory? Tomorrow, you have him come out with his cell phone on Instagram Live talking about how he was screwed out of the United States Championship, how he listened to you. He listened to you, Triple H, and he stripped away everything that made him Austin Theory. And he's going back to his roots. He's going back to what got him to the big show. Because Austin Theory is a social media god. Austin Theory was so good at taking the pictures during the matches, and you stripped it all away from him. And so have Austin Theory jump on Instagram Live and just start shitting all over LWO, just dogging the shit out of them, just saying how he was screwed out of the title, how he thought he was fighting Santos and Adam Pearce made him fight Rey Mysterio, and that's not fair, and just let him complain. Let him go on a bitching streak. Let people start to feel annoyed by Austin Theory again. Then here's what you do. You take that momentum and you roll it into Austin Theory showing up on NXT. He shows up for the next 3 big NXT events. You book Austin Theory against 3 credible NXT stars, and you make him look like he means something. You give him impressive victories over 3 NXT stars, and I can tell you who I feed him. If I'm WWE, if I'm NXT, if I'm Shawn Michaels, if I'm Triple H, I feed him Wes Lee in a squash match. Now I get it. I'm going to get jumped on because Wes Lee has a great fan base, but here, Wes Lee will survive this. Wes Lee will be just fine. Nobody will remember, I promise, okay? So give him a squash match against Wes Lee. Let him find his legs again. Then roll him out of that and give him a one-on-one match with Braun Breaker. An epic match. Make this a long match. Make this a main event of one of your NXT Premium Live events. And allow him to re-show and reintroduce himself to the crowd as somebody who can work a main event, a solid match, him and Braun Breaker. Let them go at it. It can be heel versus heel, but let them do what they do. Let Theory start to show hints of babyface. After that match, have them shake hands in a mutual sign of respect and have Austin Theory walk out of there with a victory. Then we come back. Next Premium Live event, you put Austin Theory in the ring with Gable Steveson, the most hated man in NXT. You put Austin Theory in there. You let him mollywop Gable Stevenson's ass. That match will turn Austin Theory to a babyface. You keep the social media aspect of Austin Theory's character, and all of a sudden, you have this babyface who has control of the social media space and who looks dominant again because of a run in NXT. Hey, man, this is probably right around the time for the Royal Rumble, but you reintroduce him back into the main roster for the Royal Rumble, and I guarantee you a babyface, social media-based, well-versed because of NXT Austin Theory gets over with the crowd. Okay? He could be your new John Cena. That's what we've heard since the beginning. So let's start the process. Let's get him there. We can get him to where he needs to be, because after he beats Gable Steveson, he will, even if after he beats Gable Steveson, you want to give him maybe a run as NXT champion. I could see that too. Let him, whoever's NXT champion at the time, let Austin Theory win. Give him 2 to 3 months just to test out how over he can get as a babyface. But I guarantee you, he can get over. And then at some point, you have whoever you're bringing up in NXT, you can have them beat Austin Theory. That gives them a rub. And like I said, Austin Theory returns to the main roster ready to go, refreshed, a credible threat to the World Heavyweight title. Because as is right now, Austin Theory is absolutely no good to you. But there are ways to fix people who are damaged.
We interrupt this broadcast for a special edition of the Missing Person Alert. Attention WWE Universe, we need your assistance more than ever. Johnny Gargano, the heart and soul behind the legendary team of #DIY, remains conspicuously absent. Last sighted on May 15th, during a Monday Night Raw match against Mustafa Ali, Johnny Wrestling's absence has been felt deeply across the WWE landscape. Tommaso Ciampa, his former #DIY partner and a two-time NXT champion, has taken it upon himself to locate his dear friend. Recently, after his own hiatus and subsequent feud with The Miz, Ciampa's primary mission has been to track down Gargano. The urgency was palpable as Ciampa, in a desperate bid, took to social media to distribute missing posters of Johnny. While speculations are rife about Johnny Wrestling's sudden disappearance, especially following his live event loss to Omos, the WWE community and Tommaso Ciampa remain hopeful of Gargano's swift return. WWE Universe, we beseech you, if you have any leads, any information, any inkling about Johnny Gargano's whereabouts, join hands with Tommaso Ciampa and the casual wrestling community on Discord. Your vigilance and collaboration are invaluable. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming, and it's time to get raw.
So we found out why Triple H chose to postpone the Becky and Trish match at SummerSlam.
Why?
Because it appears that there's basically zero motivation to have this story end anytime in the next decade, right? It appears that Trish has decided that she enjoys her special feature run in WWE so much that she's just going to stick around and be a full-time superstar and start participating in matches that a 44-year-old woman has absolutely no business being in since she hasn't wrestled in the last 10 years, right? I mean, that's what we're doing here. That's what this looks like, is you go from somebody who was obviously brought in to be a special attraction at SummerSlam to now we've got Trish Stratus in a cage match, right? And I get what's happening. I understand why this happens. Look, Becky Lynch is starting to become the queen of trying to push the limits of what women can do. And I respect that. I have no problem with that. I think she's fully capable of doing that, right? She likes to push the limits of on specialty matches, cage matches, Hell in a Cell, anything, ladder matches, anything she can get into that is something women don't typically do. She loves it and she succeeds at it. But here's the problem. Becky Lynch has to be careful of who her dance partner is. Like, she has that level of skill, but do we really believe that Trish Stratus does? Let's take a vote. I want to take a vote. CWC, let me go around the classroom here. Raise your hand if you think that Trish Stratus, at 44 years of age, having not wrestled in like 10 years, raise your hand if you think she's ready for a cage match. Now raise your hand if you think that cage match is going to be entertaining. That's what I thought. I assumed that nobody raised their hand. I'm going to assume that I can see through the camera lens and nobody raised their hand. Here's the reality, guys. Trish was the GOAT at one time. That time has come and gone. Women's wrestling has passed Trish Stratus up. I think it's obvious based on what we've seen that the way our mind works is we have nostalgia and we go and we compare these legends to these new superstars and we like to say, well, Trish is the GOAT. She's not anymore. That's just reality. Her time has come and gone. But it now seems that Trish might just be satisfied rolling around the ring for 5 minutes every Monday. And I don't know if that's what the fans are dying to see. Now, I got a question. Triple H, was this actually the plan for SummerSlam? Did you want to do a DQ finish? Because DQ finishes are literally the worst finish in all of pro wrestling. The double count out DQ finish. And going back to the well of fighting in the concession stands, it seems to be just a Becky Lynch thing, right? When all else fails, take it to the concession stands because it looks like something that would have happened in the Attitude Era and fans get excited. And I'm not going to lie, I actually like it. I'm not against it. Once again, I'm all for it. I think Becky Lynch pushes the limits. I think Becky Lynch is an innovator. Nothing against Becky Lynch. I just think you got to have a better dance partner. And the problem is that dance partner is standing right next to Trish Stratus. It's Zoe Stark. It is time that we carousel these people these superstars that are in this match, and we get Trish on the sideline, and we start getting some real matches between Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark, because that's where the magic is. I want to see a cage match between Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark. I don't want to see the cage match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. But here's my biggest fear. This is really my biggest fear of what's going on here. I think I can see into the future of where this thing is going. And I don't think it ends in a cage match. I don't think we're close to done. I think that the play here is for Zoe Stark to find a way into that cage and to cause some kind of problem. And Adam Pearce will come out and go, look, a cage is obviously not enough to stop Zoe Stark from getting into that ring. So guess what? At WWE Payback, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus, Hell in a Cell. Who wants that? Who's paying for that? Who's excited for that? Because it feels like that's prime for this payback style event. An event that's obviously not going to have the same feel as a SummerSlam. It's going to need a couple matches that kind of push it over the top. We're not going to have that same aura around the bloodline. So we're going to need some big moments. And it feels like WWE's looking at this and going, lock them in a cell. So you have to question. I have to question. Tell me in the comments, does anybody really want to see, are there people who want to see Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch in a Hell in a Cell? I know I don't. I don't want to, but maybe I'm wrong. And hell, maybe they prove me wrong. Maybe this is the greatest Hell in a Cell match we've ever seen. All right, so I'm going to do something that I absolutely never do, and I honestly despise doing.
I hate this.
But I'm going to do it. So I hardly ever do this, but somebody sent me a video of the content creator Santi talking about Seth Rollins starting how Seth Rollins is starting to annoy him. He does this segment where people give hot takes and then he reacts to them, and he reacted to somebody saying that Seth Rollins was annoying. He said that the chants annoyed him. And so Santi laid into the idea that Seth Rollins chants during other people's promos devalue whatever storyline Seth is currently involved in. And he didn't go as far as saying that Seth's character annoyed him, but he did. You know, Santi's a nice guy. I love his content. He's very, very, very good at what he does. But he's a nice guy, and I don't think he's willing to take that next step. Maybe he is. I don't know him. But I'm willing to take that next step. I'm not a nice guy. I'll be honest. And I feel like I've been talking about this for the last 2 weeks. Seth Rollins' current character is lazy. It feels like he went to read a book about how to be an effective babyface, and he just hits all of the little tropes that get the crowd behind you, but it's so just cookie cutter. And I think this is why it belittles the opponent and the stories that he's involved in. There's absolutely no substance to the Seth Rollins character. If you can find the substance in the character, leave it in the comments right now, because I absolutely, when I look at Seth Rollins, there is no substance. Right now, to me, Seth Rollins is just the weird kid right now. He's Dennis Rodman. He's Madonna. He dresses up for attention, not because it's who he is, but because he knows of the effect and the reaction he's going to get. Seth, you've had your fun. It's time to evolve this character into a Seth Rollins that has depth. What bothers me the most is that behind all of the layers of bullshit that he's put into this Seth Rollins character, there is somebody who is, if not the best wrestler in WWE, guarantee there is somebody underneath that shell that is a top 3 wrestler in all of pro wrestling. And gimmicks are great. I am the first to jump on a guy with a good gimmick and go, this is what you need. But Seth's gimmick is just being weird and just being slightly odd. And it doesn't work for me. This kind of character works if you're the eccentric heel. If you're the bad guy who's kind of a mix between the Joker and the Riddler, that can work for me. But when you're babyface, it just, I mean, this sounds smart ass, but it reads to me as a mix of like Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. And so they put Seth into these credible situations without any credibility. Seth Rollins has literally taken all of the complexities that make up Seth Rollins and he stripped them away to form this one-trick pony who relies on these cheap costumes and the crowd's bad habits. This is the same thing that we mean as fans when we say that the crowd boos for Dominik Mysterio is just the cool thing to do. I know a lot of people don't understand what we mean when we say that, but it's the same thing as when people go to a basketball game and the game gets boring and they do the wave. It's just the cool thing to do. It's just habitual to a crowd. It's the same reason that when Kurt Angle comes out, the crowd chants, "You suck." Kurt Angle doesn't suck. It's just the cool thing to do. And Santi is right. There is a point where the crowd chant has become a crutch that Seth Rollins leans on and it belittles his opponents. I think that guys are going to start kind of rolling their eyes when they're told, you're next for Seth Rollins, because I don't see a path where guys can actually get into the ring and make themselves look credible. When you talk about Shinsuke Nakamura, I don't see the path for Shinsuke to look credible unless he just outright beats Seth Rollins. Now, I honestly think Shinsuke Nakamura should be the guy to knock off Seth Rollins. I think that he's a great transitional champion to whatever you have planned next. I think that he would make the IWC go nuts. I think the casual fans would absolutely love it. So I do think that Shinsuke would be the right guy. I think that there's a part of WWE that thought they don't want Seth Rollins in the ring with Finn Balor and Damian Priest because of what happens. I think they got a sample of it with Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. I actually do. I think they saw that no matter how good Finn Balor was, Seth Rollins can go back to that crutch of the crowd and they just get behind him. But here's what I want. This is honestly what I would like from Seth Rollins in the next 6 months, because I think Seth Rollins has done almost everything. I think I'm ready for Seth Rollins. You had a great run with this World Heavyweight title, but I don't think, I think it's time that we transition out of this. I would like for Seth to either drop the title, keep the title, whatever, but to start building a faction around himself of kind of misfit, villainous type characters. I'd like to see a heel turn from Seth Rollins. Give him Braun Breaker. Give him Bronson Reed. Give him Cora Jade and Becky Lynch, and let them form this band of misfit villains who are just kind of mischievous and like make it feel like a Batman movie. I think Seth Rollins could rub off on so many younger wrestlers. I do think, I know Seth Rollins has done the faction thing before, but I don't think it's ever been done correctly with Seth Rollins. I think there's a part of me that thinks Seth Rollins could do what CM Punk did around 2011, kind of with the Nexus and kind of with the anti-establishment. I think Seth Rollins would be primed to do that inside of WWE, but I also think that he could bring people like Becky Lynch, Cora Jade, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. He could bring those people around them and elevate them. He could bring Braun Breaker in and immediately make him credible. All right, so I know this next conversation is immediately going to put a target on my back every time I talk about this. The IWC absolutely lose their shit, but I think it's things that have to be said. And I've always said, I will say what's on my mind.
I don't lie.
And what's on my mind right now is, am I the only person noticing that Triple H is doing exactly what I said he should do with Dominik Mysterio and phasing him out of all main roster storylines? Dominik Mysterio is an NXT guy. I don't know why that hurts people's feelings. That's where he belongs. That's where he thrives. That's where he will shine. That is the glass ceiling. That is the tallest brass ring that Dominik Mysterio can reach up and grab at this point in his career. Now, the IWC, you got to calm the fuck down. Y'all got to calm down with this idea, because I see it all over Twitter and I see it all over Reddit. This idea that Dominik Mysterio will be a world champion in the next 5 years. Stop it. Stop it. Stop that shit right now. You guys, I'm quick to overreact, but this is bullshit. This is the most biggest overreaction to WWE smoke and mirrors that I've ever seen since I've watched wrestling. Dominik Mysterio is not over the way that the IWC wants to say he is. Dominik Mysterio is over in the same way that Santino Marella got over by pulling a snake out of his outfit and chopping people in the throat. He's a comedy act. He's not a main roster talent. Y'all can scream, you can point to the reactions he's getting, but look at the X's and O's. Look at really what Dominik does when he's out there. It's not much. You know what Dominik is really good at? Dominik Mysterio is Rhea Ripley's manager, and he's a damn good manager for Rhea Ripley. But he's just a prop. He's a prop she uses to come off as a badass, as a dominatrix. Does Dom get some residual heat off of that? Sure, yes, the crowd boos Dominik Mysterio, but that is not of his own accord. Dom is not going to grab one of the two biggest prizes in WWE and represent the company on television to its corporate sponsors. It's not happening. Not in the next 5 years. You guys, be real. Be real with yourself. Is Dom on Braun Breaker's level? Can you see Dominik Mysterio going toe-to-toe with Braun Breaker and it being believable? No. Is he on Wes Lee's level? No. Is he on Carmelo Hayes' level? No. He's not built like that. Dominik Mysterio is a great accessory, but you don't build your entire swag around him. Go to WWE Shop right now. Everybody go to WWE Shop. Grab your phone, go to WWE Shop right now. Look at the main page. The main page of WWE Shop is very telling. The people that are on the main page are the people that WWE knows sells merchandise and that they want to push. Dom's not on that main page. There's no Dom merchandise on the main page. If Dom was as over as the IWC wants everybody to believe he is, then he would be on that front page. If he was the biggest heel in WWE, like the IWC tries to tell me when I talk about Dominik Mysterio, he would be on that main page. But why? Why isn't he? Why when I go over to the side tab and I click superstars and it gives me a list of the top selling merchandise superstars, why is his name not on there? You know why? Because Dominik Mysterio doesn't move merchandise. People aren't fans of Dominik Mysterio. They just enjoy booing him. That's it. It's not of his own accord. You know, look, here, I'll make y'all a deal. I will stop talking about, I'll tell you this. I'll do this right here. If somebody can screenshot on WWE television, on SmackDown or Raw, if somebody can screenshot a picture of a person wearing the Dirty Dom t-shirt, I will order a Dirty Dom t-shirt and I will wear it for 3 episodes straight on this podcast. But you're not going to find it because I beg to believe 5 of those shirts have been sold. If any, I see lots of mommy shirts. I see lots of Judgment Day shirts. I see tons of LA Knight shirts. I don't see anybody with Dominik Mysterio merchandise. Look, We Too Deep, good friend of mine. He bought a Judgment Day t-shirt. He had the option to buy a Dirty Dom shirt when he went to the store, but as a wise man, he didn't do that. He bought the Judgment Day t-shirt because nobody buys Dirty Dom merchandise. And I get it. Yes, the crowd boos when Dom lifts up the microphone. They react like trained monkeys. Wrestling crowds do whatever they think is fun. I do it. I booed Dominik Mysterio at American Bash, and I could give 2 shits about Dominik Mysterio. I just did it because it's what everybody did. And I wouldn't doubt if WWE is pumping in manufactured boos to make the crowd seem like they're louder than they are. Nah, I've been there. It's loud. But I don't know if that's not being triggered by something. But these are the same IWC fans out here yelling that Dominik Mysterio will be world champion in the next 5 years. These are the same IWC fans that told me Darby Allin was going to be a world champion in the next 2 years. And that was 2 years ago. Darby's not on that path. Dominik's not on that path. I don't see Darby Allin holding an AEW world title anytime soon, and I damn sure can tell you that Dominik Mysterio is not going to hold a world championship in the next 5 years. Not a main roster title. NXT title, we can have that conversation. Main roster title, don't talk to me about that. Darby Allin, too small. Dominik Mysterio, too comedic. Now I'll admit to this. Last thing here. Dominik is a absolutely perfect piece to the Judgment Day puzzle. And when Dominik understands where he fits in, which I think he does. None of this is meant to be negative towards Dominik Mysterio because I think he absolutely understands his position in the company, and I think he's absolutely great at what he does. He's a great accessory to Rhea Ripley. He plays that part extremely well, and shout out to him because not a lot of people could do that. And he is serviceable enough in the ring to keep the crowd's attention. He's serviceable enough on the microphone to get them to boo when he holds it up. But outside of that, he's not doing anything spectacular. He's not great on a microphone. He's not phenomenal in the ring. He's an NXT level wrestler. And you can't argue with that. He's a guy who belongs in NXT. He's a guy who needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of work in the ring. He needs a lot of work on a microphone. Let's put it this way. And you tell me this. Dominik Mysterio is closer to being Drew Gulak than he is to being a world champion like Seth Rollins. Prove me wrong. So I have another bone to pick with the IWC this week over the way they've reported and handled the situation with CM Punk, Adam Page, and that other guy that I don't know his name. So it was first reported that CM Punk had Adam Page and some other guy, I think his name's Ryan Namath. I don't know who the fuck he is.
Who the fuck is that guy?
But the story was that CM Punk did not allow these two guys into the building at AEW Collision. But now, a couple hours before I go on air, I see that Wrestling Insiders are walking it back and saying that Page wasn't allowed in not because of CM Punk, but because of a scheduling change by Tony Khan.
Oops.
They just placed all the blame on CM Punk because that's what the IWC does. So basically, in typical IWC fashion, and most of these insiders are IWC, don't get it twisted. I am one of the true few casual wrestling, podcast, social media personalities. But as the IWC insiders always do, they took this story and they basically wrote the headline, according to rumors, CM Punk is rumored to be involved in a rumor that many people speculate could lead to more rumors about CM Punk. Because it gets them clicks. It's clickbait. They like it. They enjoy it. As long as they use CM Punk's name, they love to throw him in the dirt. But I gotta tell you guys, man, oh man, IWC, you're so quick to jump on this bandwagon, so quick to bow to your Lord and Savior, Kenny Omega, so quick to worship the apostles known as the Young Bucks and Adam Page. What is it like, IWC, to live with Kenny Omega's meat in your mouth? I got a newsflash for all these Gen Z soft motherfuckers in the IWC, because that's what it is. Let's be honest. If you guys didn't live through the CM Punk heel run era, you're in for a rude awakening. This is what CM Punk does. The promo that CM Punk cut on Adam Page after AEW, that's just heel work, brother. Now, did Punk call to apologize? Sure. But he knows what he did. Once you throw that shit out into the world, it's out there. It's stuck. It's the old do first, ask for forgiveness trick. Punk knows exactly what he's doing while appearing to be the good guy, appearing to stay on Tony Khan's good graces. Now, here's an unpopular opinion. I got one for you, IWC. You want to come after me? Come for me. CM Punk is single-handedly keeping AEW relevant outside of the echo chamber that the EWC, the elite wrestling community, live in. That's fact. That's fact. Casual fans aren't paying attention to Kenny Omega. Casual fans have no interest in this garbage card that they're putting together for All In. CM Punk is on top of the game when he's a heel. They're not going to touch him. Kenny Omega's not going to touch him. Kenny's not ready. The Bucks aren't ready. The little bitch who wears the cowboy gear from Virginia, he's not ready. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the soft EWC fans. Here's the problem that they can't understand. The elite, they conned Tony Khan into building a playground for them. And they named it AEW Dynamite. And Tony Khan was a happy parent who got to watch all his little kids run around on the playground that had no rules. You want to run up the slide, Matt Jackson? Go for it. You want to hang upside down on the monkey bars, Nick Jackson? Go for it. You want to do an Alabama death match with pizza cutters and dynamite under the ring? Hell, we'll add sharks with laser beams, Kenny Omega. And that was great. It was a utopia to the IWC. Except there was a problem. The playground wasn't making any money. And if the playground doesn't make any money, the equipment starts to get dilapidated. So Tony Khan did what any smart parent does, and he went out and he found out a way to fix it. And how he fixed it was enter CM Punk. CM Punk comes in and says, hey, this playground you got going here, this is pretty cool, but it could be better. We could fix it. And CM Punk goes, this playground would function better if you guys just use the monkey bars the way they're supposed to be used. If you guys just went down the slide in the direction that the slide's made to be used. Hell, this company would be better if your champions and the guys constantly winning weren't VPs of the fucking company. But what happened is that pissed off the elite. This pissed off the IWC. And it all came to a head at the All In Media Scrum where Daddy Khan had to step in and send everybody to their rooms. Elite, you got to go to your room over there. CM Punk, you got to go to your room over there. Everybody needs a timeout. But then time passed. And Daddy Khan calmed down. And he decided that it was okay. The Mean Girls can come back to the playground. We'll let the elite come back. These are my favorite children. But the mean Girls weren't content with this. The Mean Girls told Daddy, we don't want to play on this jungle gym if you let CM Punk play on it. And so Daddy Khan, because he's a bitch-ass daddy, Daddy Khan, he doesn't want to fix the problems. He just wants to make them go away. So he goes and says, there, look, I'll build a second playground. And we'll put it in a part of town where it's set up to fail. We'll put it on the bad part of town. And we'll tell all the kids that the elite don't like, you guys need to go play over there. And we'll call that playground Collision. Saturday nights. It'll have to compete with WWE premium live events. It'll have to compete with UFC pay-per-views. It'll have to compete with college football. And what happened? Collision started to succeed. Collision actually wasn't half bad. All of a sudden, the reviews start coming out from the IWC and the casual wrestling fans. This is good. This show might work. This feels old school. This feels like a balance between AEW and WWE. This feels like something we've been looking for. And look, I make a joke, I use playground references, but only to make this point. The reality is, here's what happened. The elite banished CM Punk to the Collision Island. And CM Punk cleared out all the debris. He took his cast of misfits, his Andrades, his Miros, his Ricky Starks, his Christian, and he built something that has actual fucking legs to it. And the fans are starting to recognize it. And if you think that it is selfish for CM Punk to protect that and not want the Mean Girls to come over and play on his playground, he doesn't want the Mean Girls to come sabotage his equipment, then that says something about you as a fan. I won't let anybody in my house if I think they will do harm to my home or family. So I damn sure don't expect CM Punk to let these Mean Girls back on to AEW Collision. CM Punk is right. Tony Khan allowed for an AEW Civil War. It's already happening. It's not in the works. This is happening. You just have one side in the Mean Girls that function very sneakily behind the scenes, and then you have the guy who's not going to be passive aggressive, and that's CM Punk, who will punch you in your fucking face while he's talking to you. If Tony Khan was actually this 3-time Booker of the Year that Saraya always says he is, he would capitalize on this. But he won't. He won't do anything. He could have the biggest match in all of pro wrestling in the last 20 years. Just put CM Punk and Kenny Omega in a fucking ring at All In, and you want to show WWE something that's comparable to WrestleMania, put those two guys in a ring together, but you won't.
He's a chicken. A chicken.
What you'll do is they're going to go around, the IWC is going to go around and celebrate selling all of these tickets to IWC Fest. They're going to celebrate selling all these tickets to All In. And All In's going to be another IWC ritual where Kenny Omega gets dropped on his head 10 times against Will Ospreay, and they tell us how fucking great it is, and when it's actually just bullshit. That's what it's going to be. But that's why I can't be a full-time fan of AEW. All right, we're going to do something a little bit different for main event this week. Still as many main events as we want, but we're going to add a 5-minute clock and go rapid fire this week, see how this works out. So 5 minutes on the clock. I have a list of questions that have been sent in to questions@casualcommunity.com. If you have a question, make sure to send it in. I'll throw it into the rapid fire and get to it. 5 minutes on the clock. Here we go. Should WWE have a physical Hall of Fame? If so, where should it be located? Yeah, I definitely think that they have enough fanfare that they could have a physical Hall of Fame. There's a part of me that wants to go Orlando. I think that you put it right around Disneyland and that makes sense. There's also a part of me that thinks Las Vegas would be fun. I think you could do an entire hotel themed around, or at least a section of one of the big hotels themed around WWE, but let's go Orlando. I think because of the connection to kids, because of that's where people are going for, going to spend money. They kind of have a plan to spend money. Let's go Orlando. Is Bray Wyatt ever going to come back to WWE? I think so. I do. I think there's plans for him to come back. I think there's mixed messaging. I think in one case we see these news articles come out where he has a life-threatening sickness. On the other hand, I think that he's got the illness called bitch-assness, where he just can't, figure out what he wants to do. I did see an article where his father, Mike Rotunda, came out and gave a positive update on Bray Wyatt's return. What the fuck does that mean? How does your dad not know when you're returning? How does your dad just go, no, it looks positive. I think he'll be coming back. That doesn't make sense to me. I would think my dad knows everything I'm doing. I talk to him every day. He knows what I'm doing. That doesn't make sense. Thoughts on Lacey Evans getting released? I know we too deep. I know this won't hurt you, but here's the reality. She just wasn't connecting. And I blame WWE. I think that they never quite gave her an opportunity to get over. 1 week she's a heel. The next week she's a babyface. 1 week she's a struggling mom. The next week she's General of the Navy. I mean, it's hard to get over when on a weekly basis you can't stick to one character. I think she has all the talent in the world, but I sometimes gimmick is bigger than talent. Start, bench, or cut between John Cena, the Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. Easy. You start The Rock, you bench Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you cut John Cena. Fuck John Cena. I don't have a ton of love for John Cena compared to the Attitude Era. I am one of those old guys who lives in the Attitude Era. Wrestling was better in the Attitude Era. I think right now we're in kind of a renaissance that we'll look back at and say might be as good, but I still am a fond fan of the Attitude Era. I will say, fuck all three of them. Just sign the megastar LA Knight and you're set. Do you think that Rikishi will appear at Payback after the poster spoilers? Someone dropped the oops bomb on this one. We'll see if WWE panics and tries to change direction, but the Bloodline needs some kind of injection after SummerSlam. I don't know that you can continue just doing some combination of Roman, Solo, Jay, and Jimmy without it getting stale. I like having Rikishi as a part of that. Did TKO, which is the holding group of WWE, do Triple H dirty by not giving him a spot on the board of directors? I don't know. I don't fucking know enough about this stuff. I don't even know if Triple H wanted a spot in the board of directors. I think that, I'm sure he's fine where he's at, right? I would just leave it to, leave him to do his creative. If Vince McMahon would just leave him alone and let him do what he does, I think Triple H would be fine just cooking up creative. Which WWE star looks best without a beard? Dear God, this is, whoa. Okay, let me look at this. So we got Drew McIntyre. Triple H looks like Turtle Man. I don't know if y'all remember, there was a nature guy named Turtle Man. Kevin Owens. Are these even proportional? Somebody photoshopped these and they look absolutely scary. All right, best without a beard. Let's go. Edge. I think Edge looks best without a beard. If I'm going worst without a beard just for fun, it's Bray Wyatt. He looks like a scary Willy Wonka. Nerdy D, do you prefer battle royals or Royal Rumbles? Royal Rumbles. I think the surprise element makes them way more fun to watch. I think that battle royals, you typically have somewhat of a feeling what's going to happen and who's going to win. So even in Royal Rumbles, you have that same opinion. So at least the surprises that happen along the way make it worth watching. What happened to Carlito? WWE probably realized outside of Puerto Rico, nobody actually gives a shit about another 44-year-old wrestler. I mean, that's just, I know that's brutal, but that's the honest truth. He's been on the roster for 10 years. I mean, hasn't been on the roster for 10 years. I don't know that people are just clamoring for a return of Carlito.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, let's finish out the show with what I learned in wrestling this week. I learned that Tony Khan is afraid to book the biggest match in pro wrestling in the last 20 years. I learned that Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are absolute geniuses when it comes to the subliminal promo. Go back and look on Monday Night Raw at the white chairs and see if you can figure out what I'm talking about. Absolutely fucking next level promo. If you figure it out, let me know in the comments that you know what's going on. Don't spoil it, but let me know that you're on the same wavelength. I also learned that the little girl who was the biggest Bayley fan in the world is now a grown-ass woman, and she's wrestling on the indie circuits. But that is all I have for you guys this week. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube or your favorite podcast network. You can chime in on all of today's topics in the Casual Community Discord, or you can just jump into the comment section of each video. Let me know what you think. Make sure to look out for the new show, The Champ and the Chick, on YouTube. Thought it was going to start this week, probably going to start next week. Had some scheduling issues. That's okay. We'll get it up and running, but I will close out the show the same way we did last week. This is this week's Power 10.